Welcome to Wealth Edit Wednesday. We are so excited. This is the first time that we've had Richard Reutter on our podcast. He is the first male guest we've actually ever had on our podcast, and he is the president and CEO of Caroline's Cakes. Emily and I met him at the Southern Sea at the conference, and we were just so impressed with him, his story, and how he has carried on a family tradition through Caroline's Cakes and his mother, who is Caroline. So I don't want to give away too much of the story, but I often think about my boy moms who are building something great and how really their legacy could be found in even their male children. And so we're very excited to just be here and hear your story, Richard. So thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So just tell us about Caroline's Cakes. Tell us about the company. Tell us about how you got involved, just the whole story.
Well, I first of all, I really appreciate it. It's an honor to be on the show, and certainly an honor to be your first male guest. And I enjoyed meeting y'all at the Southern Sea, and I learned so much from all those strong and extremely intelligent women there. I, as you mentioned, am the current president and CEO of Caroline's Cakes. It's a mail order bakery that was started by my mother, Caroline, after she served a 7-layer caramel cake at my christening back in 1982. And mom grew up in South Carolina. She was born in Charleston, grew up in Lake City, South Carolina, always around food, always entertaining. My grandfather had a charcoal and tobacco business and would have a steady stream of clients coming through town, and they would always be entertained at the house, or there would be after church picnics. And like many Southerners, mom saw the power that food had to bring people together in happy times like birthdays and weddings and celebrations, and then in sad times like when we've lost somebody we love. Food was always there as a staple, and mom carried that through her own childhood and consequently through my upbringing. So when she served this caramel cake at my christening and started getting requests for more, she jumped at the opportunity and would make 2 or 3 cakes in the home kitchen, and then 2 or 3 turned into 3 or 4, and she would leave them on the front porch on a joggling board on the front porch of our house. And at this point we lived in Annapolis, Maryland, and people would come by on the honor system and find the cake with their name on it and put a check in what we called the big red tin, which creatively was literally just a big red tin. And the business, lowercase b business, was run on the honor system like that for 20 years. And mom got to a point where she could make a maximum of 8 caramel cakes a day out of the home kitchen. So not exactly churning along, but still having tons of fun with it. And so when the home phone rang and mom picked up and somebody said, "I've tried your cake, I'd like to use them as a corporate gift," she said, "Great, how many would you like?" And they said 2,000. And she didn't miss a beat. She said yes immediately, zero hesitation. And that's really when the business of Caroline's Cakes was born. She had always had that passion. That was kind of the catalyst, the epiphany of, I've really got something here. And so that first order was, we originally were going to work with a co-packer, but we cut into that first cake and we found a penny in it. And that's obviously not what you want when you cut into the world's best 7-layer caramel cake. So my parents put a...
I know. That was the Lord, though, because he saved you from what could have been in the other cake.
Absolutely. There are no coincidences. Everything happens for a reason. So my parents put a commercial kitchen in the basement of their home. We baked that first order there. We shipped that first order from my parents' garage. And again, as I said, that's really when Caroline's Cakes was born.
I love that. And, I'm sitting here thinking about your mom and just obviously her entrepreneurial spirit, in that she was like, "Hey, everybody likes this cake, I'm going to start making some." And then, getting the call, "We need 2,000," and her not even hesitating, saying, "Yes, we'll do it." And then figuring out how to do it afterwards, which, we hear so many stories through Wealth Edit Wednesday and just through our opportunity to meet so many awesome women. And you see that that's like the thing that the women who, have built these businesses, oftentimes it starts with just, "I'm going to say yes." So did she have somebody in her life that modeled that for her? Where do you think she got her entrepreneurial spirit?
My grandfather, her father, Tommy Ragsdale, was a phenomenal entrepreneur. And I think she would be quick to agree with me that he was the biggest entrepreneurial influence in her life. He, as I mentioned, had a charcoal and tobacco business, was a huge advocate for taking advantage of unique opportunities. You know, when they realized that they had a large amount of heat output from the process of manufacturing the charcoal, he talked to the town of Lake City about selling them that excess heat. So then he's got, you know, there's all of a sudden another business, and just utilizing the mentality of never having a dull moment. And mom certainly grasps that. I mean, I remember my brother and I growing up when our school did the Sally Foster wrapping paper sales. I mean, mom, we were loaded down with that stuff. My mom had us hustling. There was no way that he was going to have us sell not the top amount of Sally Foster wrapping paper. So she had a really fun, competitive spirit. I think you need that to take that brave and courageous leap into a business, and it was seen in everything she did in her life.
Well, you know what I just really love too about this story, and this is someone along the way, we have a great mentor in this company called Harmon Brothers, and this man called Kurt Horn. And I randomly cold called him one day and said, like, we just really want to sit at your feet and figure out how you make all of these uncomfortable topics, like talking about money, like normal and fun and funny. And so he became just this friend and mentor, but he sent us this book called Nail It, Then Scale It. And I think what I see a lot in business these days, and I think it's because there's a lot of private dollars circulating in the marketplace that like want to be infused into different businesses. But one thing that your mom did well is she had the wonderful product and she waited until it was time, you know, like until she got that call. She just kept perfecting her product until she got that call saying, okay, let's do 2,000 cakes, you know? And I think that that's a lot of times I see people, and there's nothing, again, there's no problem raising money, but I really like, especially in humble beginnings, really getting down what is your actual product, what makes you special, is there an actual demand for it, and then going and expanding. I just think that there's a lot of lessons in that.
I think there's certainly advantages to the ready, fire, aim approach, which is what mom, I think, took with that. And she was having a ton of fun doing what she was doing. And it was just like, oh, wow, like I can actually turn this into a business. So she got a call for 2,000 cakes, and she hadn't thought about how much it cost to make the cake until sort of, she was like, I have my neighbor down the street or somebody in Birmingham or in Charleston would call and say, are you still making those caramel cakes? And she just said she couldn't say no. And she was having so much fun taking care of people, and the business was what allowed her to do that. As with many entrepreneurs, male and female, oftentimes the financial aspects of it come afterwards. Mm-hmm. But it's a great way to kind of test your passion.
Yeah.
And that it was certainly a challenge then when you have to look at, oh, I need to take care of a team. I need to take care of myself. How much is butter? How much is sugar? Those are problems that we sort of faced after the cake had already been eaten and enjoyed at a birthday. That was fine that worked for us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it's funny. Often Emily's an attorney, so she's smarter and in all the ways than me, but often people will call us and say, hey, do y'all do this? I'm like, yeah, we can do that. And she's like, yeah. What? We cannot. We have never done that before. I'm like, we could. I mean, we really could.
I'm like, look, could we? We're gonna have to go back and read our
I'm like semantics
regulations.
Yeah. I'm like, right. Yeah, we can do that. And I do think it takes a little bit of that too. I think it's funny. My at the time she was 6 and she was on a little basketball team, and she would get frustrated every day, every time we went to a game, because she would never make any baskets. And finally I turned around in the car and I said, well, I can guarantee you're never going to make a basket. And she looked at me like, you are the worst mom on the planet. And I said, well, you never shoot at the hoop. So, I mean, it's just never going to happen, you know? And I think you do have to sort of like go for what you want. I mean, you have to take the risk. You have to say yes when it feels uncomfortable. And maybe like you might not get a basket, but you never know when you are going to get one in. And the more you shoot at the hoop, you know, the more likely you're able to score. So,
And when it goes in, the crowd goes wild.
Exactly. Well, tell us how you got in the business.
So I had sort of worked as unpaid labor on my breaks from boarding school. I went to Woodbury Forest in Virginia and then off to Hobart College in upstate New York. And I would come home on breaks right as I graduated high school in 2000. So really right as that first order came in. And when I came home from breaks, I would be tasked with helping pack and bake the cakes in the basement of the house. So that was really sort of my first experience with the growth, slow as it was, and really what it takes to build something out of nothing. In an official capacity, after I graduated from college, I was doing the job hunt. I thought that I wanted to go to law school until about 2 nanoseconds after I had my degree. And I wasn't even off the stage. And I was like, I have no idea what I want to do. And mom took me out to lunch one day. And at this point, we had moved out of the basement of the house and we're in a small storefront right before the Bay Bridge in Annapolis, Maryland. And mom said, you know, the business is growing. I'd love for you to be involved if it's something you're interested in. And I had, you know, nepotism is alive. I was like, my mom's the owner. I'm going to have a great title, like, you know, corner office type, not really a corner office, but what's my title going to be? And mom said, I need a dishwasher because every single one of the layers in our caramel cake is baked individually. So we had thousands of pans and I jumped at the opportunity. It was a great lesson. I spent, you know, 90 to 100 hours a week working with mom to develop the absolute best system for washing the pans efficiently and the same way every time and in a repetitive process, and it helped me learn the business from the back to the front. So from there, I jumped up and helped manage our deli storefront because I had experience in the restaurant industry. Helped with the books because I had interest in finance at a smaller level than I do now. And then just sort of as mom deemed it appropriate, I would learn and be reassigned inside the business. And eventually, I like to joke, she even taught me how to make the caramel, which is sort of like our Coca-Cola recipe.
I love it. Yeah, I just appreciate your willingness to just start at the bottom. You know, I know that when I even entered this industry, there's a long backstory to this, but my first job, I was hired to just meet with clients, create relationships. Like that was what they wanted me to do. It was not here. And I floundered in that because I kept saying, you know, I was an attorney, then I've changed careers to financial advisor and was put in this role. And I said, but I don't know what's happening like behind me. You know, I felt so uneasy. And so then when I changed jobs and came to work with Lauren, we were in a unique situation where I had every opportunity to learn all the things that went in from the very beginning. But that has helped me so much. I mean, probably more than anything else that I've done is to be able to like work from the ground up in an industry to figure it out. And I think so much so, you know, to switch gears a little bit to parenting, and obviously something your mother did really well was helping like even our children understand that, you know, if you're willing to come in at the very bottom and learn a business from the ground up, that is where, you know, where you really, that's like the secret sauce to being like a great leader and a manager of a bit, you know, like running the business. And so now I know just from talking to you yesterday, you say that your day, you could be doing any part of the business.
Absolutely. Yeah. If we need help in shipping, I was back there yesterday with Mother's Day shipments. I'll be back there today helping with those because it's the last day for Mother's Day shipments for those of you who are still looking for a cake. I will gladly jump back in and wash pans. I'll help ice cakes. You know, really, mom always said, and I support this in our culture here, there are no egos here at Caroline's Cakes. Every single person's job is the most important. I can't bake a layer of cake unless the pan has been washed. There's no point baking the layer if somebody's not going to be there to mid-fill it. If somebody's not going to finish ice it, then pack it. There's no point in taking the order to ship it. So everybody says like low man on the totem pole. Well, if the low man on the totem pole is not there, it's going to fall over. Like, the whole structure comes down if there's not pillars there. So everybody, it's true in small business and in any business, in my opinion, that there's no position that's more important than the other.
Absolutely. So how have you built, one thing that that I'm really fascinated with is building a team. Like, how have you built a culture? I guess your mom set the culture and then you've built on it from there. Kind of tell me how you think about that.
So mom always said you got to have the fire in the belly. And I think we look for that. We look for, training and background and experience is almost secondary to kind of what's here in your head and your heart. We like to look for people who have a passion for taking care of others like we do. I think, we're very lucky in that we get to do something that we love and be part of so many people's traditions and celebrations. We have customers who've been with us since they were picking up cakes on the porch in Annapolis, still calling, and they want that warmth on the other end of the phone. We have a sign up in our phone bank that says smile, they can hear it in your voice. So we look for people who are open to receiving encouragement and giving encouragement to others, somebody who's not going to be intimidated by a changing work environment. And what I mean there is, if the phones are slow, people will be, hey, where can I help next? Because that's really what it takes. And also it can be difficult at times because we are somewhat seasonal. So our workforce almost doubles between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And to get that buy-in from a team, knowing that it's just short term, is really difficult. But we've been very fortunate to have been able to do it year after year, and certainly plan to continue to. But it's just, I think our team is motivated and encouraged by the fact that my brother Charles and I, and Caroline, when she was with us, our willingness to jump in and do anything. We're not going to ask anybody to do something we wouldn't do ourselves.
100%.
So as busy as it is, we're shoulder to shoulder, or, with COVID, we're 6 feet shoulder to shoulder, as it were, for the past several years. So I think that's a really valuable tool, is our own work ethic is a valuable tool in motivating our team.
I love that. And it's interesting when you say smile, people can, what did you say? Feel it?
Smile, they can hear it in your voice.
They can hear it in your voice. This is not too bad. I think business has been really tough, and finding the right labor force in a business like yours has to be extremely difficult in this period of time. That I was picking up a cake for my friend. We were out in Portland last week, and the bakery didn't pick up the phone. When I came in, nobody greeted me for about 5 minutes. And it was like a very expensive cake. And I was thinking, I'll probably just never come back, not just because physically I'm located in the Southeast, but also, and this person had been like touted for being on Cake Wars a million times and whatever. And I was like, it just wasn't a great experience, and when you're buying something, buying a cake feels special. You're buying it, like you said at the beginning of the call, you're buying it because you're either celebrating or you're really trying to care for someone in a specific way. And there's an experience that goes along with that.
Absolutely. I think we have, early on, I would hear people pick up the phone, you pick up, Caroline's, this is Richard. And many times our customers say, hi, how are you? And I heard somebody say, they just would say, I'm good. I'm like, well, what we want to do is say, I'm good, how are you? Because it's not just about us. And I'm sure, like with your clients in the financial world, hearing that encouragement, like you sit down with them and they're maybe, as I am, intimidated by a financial statement or the finance world in general. And you sit there, something as easy as, you can do this. It's like, okay, that totally changes the course of how a conversation or any challenge could be, is something as simple as encouraging as that, and it costs nothing.
I love that. And I think about your mom, and so your mom passed away in 2017 from ovarian cancer.
That's right.
And what I think, and just having lost my husband, and something that I try to do, but clearly y'all are doing this so well, it's just carrying on her story too, with which I think factors into even all the way down to like how you answer the phone. I mean, because she created such a strong legacy of this is about customer service. We want to like be known for that. We want to be known for caring for our people and being able to say yes, even if it's a tight turnaround, we're going to like do our best to make that happen. And when we asked you about being on the Wealth Edit, I love that you said, I just take every opportunity I can to tell my mom's story.
That's awesome.
And just carry on her legacy. And I think that as I talk to you and as I hear more and more about Caroline's Cake, we realize that, especially as women, but I think men alike, that when we hear a brand's story, when we know like who they are personally and why they're doing what they're doing, you're so much more likely to buy from them. And I just think that I love that that's part of who y'all are, and but clearly has allowed y'all to continue to grow in ways I'm sure that you and your mom maybe never even imagined.
Yeah, this is and always will be Caroline's Cakes. This is still very much mom's business. It's, no recipes have changed. The culture has been improved based on the guidelines that she set. I said yesterday, I know so much about where mom wanted to take this business because we would talk about it 25 hours a day when she was still with us. And I think, she passed it. She was 66 when she passed away, which is obviously far too early. But I am telling her story, and it's a huge honor for me to continue to be able to do that. We're often asked about where we come up with our new recipes, and they really come from her. She had a huge collection of cookbooks that have bookmarks and dog-eared pages and notes in the column and the margins. So it does feel like we're able to continue working on projects with her. My wife and I have a 3-year-old baby girl, baby Caroline, named for my mother, who was born on April 5th, which is National Caramel Day. So you can't hear that and not think that there's a guardian angel out there looking after not only that, my little Caroline, but also this business in general. And when I took over the business, which I think was always the plan, but obviously our timeline was accelerated with the cancer diagnosis. And I actually had this same thought the first time I went to the Southern Seas. I walked into a room and it was me and 250 female entrepreneurs. And I thought about every single thing that I have learned about business, and really about, my character has been from a strong female influence. That's my mom, my mother-in-law, my wife. I've had so many positive influences. My wife and my wife in my life have been female, and it's really helped shape who I am. This is a female run business. Mom just happens to be, in a better place now. So I still think of it that way.
That kind of makes me want to cry.
I know, I love it. But I think it's too, it's an encouragement. I love that we're having you on this week of Mother's Day, because it just is an encouragement to us as mothers that, sometimes you don't think your children are listening. You don't think they're watching. You don't think they're absorbing, all the things that you try to teach them. I have an 11th grader. So like, I'm like doubling down. I think she's thinking like, if this woman, I cannot get out of here fast. I'm like, wait, have I told you about this? Did I, we haven't covered that yet. All of a sudden I'm trying to like get in all the lessons, and sometimes it's sort of demoralizing because you're thinking they're not listening to me. They're not watching. And, I love hearing you say that, because oftentimes they are.
And we just
a lot of it's learned through osmosis, and certainly within the bakery. I mean, you'd see mom pulling a pallet jack and then racing to answer the phone. You're like, well, like, my God, look at that enthusiasm. Here we are 20 years from when the business was like officially started, and 40 years from when the first caramel cake was served. And looking back at mom ran at top speed every single day for this business and for those she cared about. And those people were her friends, her family, her customers who became friends. I mean, she made it look easy because it was so genuine.
I love that. Well, I can't believe that our time is almost up, but I want to ask you a couple things before we go. First, okay, you said last day of Mother's Day orders, so we're going to get them in. So how do they find you? How do they order? Tell us how to engage with you after this little time together.
So we ship nationwide, anywhere in the country in 1 to 2 days. You can find us online at www.carolinescakes.com. There's an S on the end of Carolines and an S on the end of cakes. You can also, we'd love to hear from you. So give us a call. It's 888-801-CAKE, which is 2253. You can find us on Instagram at Caroline's Cakes. And I'd be willing to bet that everybody who listens has a birthday. We'd love to be a part of it.
That's awesome. Well, my mom is on here too. And I love just these Mother's Day stories. It's so much fun. And tell us, okay, so our last question that we ask all our guests is why you said yes to the Wealth Edit, because really what we're trying to do here is normalize conversations around money for all the women in our lives. So just tell us why you said yes to the Wealth Edit.
The biggest reason I said, yeah, I had such a great time meeting y'all and having our conversations leading up to this conversation. It's been an honor to speak with you. I also mentioned I'm never going to pass an opportunity up to share our story. I learned something new about this business every time I tell the story. And I hope that this Wealth Edit episode is an opportunity for others to hear it and kind of have a large or small aha moment themselves. It's a necessary part. It doesn't have to be something that sends your day off in an intimidating trajectory. They're just numbers. There's logic. It's something that may be driving you or may motivating you. But I think it's an important part of pursuing your passion. And this was certainly a platform that you all are helping inform so many others. And I'm thrilled to be a part of it.
Well, thanks for coming on.
No, thank you so much for being here. And we look forward to, we've tried the cake, but we look forward to many more to come.
Yes.
We're going to get one on the way to you. We're eating cake to happy people.
Awesome.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Richard.
Thank you.
All right. Have a
All right,
great
bye.
day.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.